Okay, let's unpack that feeling. You know the one. You're scrolling, clicking, another ping goes off.
Ugh,
It's like your brain's juggling, I don't know, a dozen different tabs.
all screaming for attention. Yeah.
And look, if you're tuning in, chances are you like staying informed. You
Yeah.
want to dig into topics, but sometimes that constant digital stream just leaves you feeling, well, saturated, but overloaded, right?
That feeling of digital overload, that's really where we're starting today.
Exactly.
For this deep dive, we've been looking at two really interesting firsthand accounts. There's Thon's 3-day digital detox down in the Texas Hill Country. He talked about it on the Productivity Show.
Okay.
And then there's an article by Elise Dobson detailing her experience with just a 1-day digital break.
1 day. Interesting contrast.
Right. And what's compelling is these aren't us theories. These are, real people trying this out, stepping back to see what happens with a gain in focus, maybe mental space.
So our mission here is kind of understanding why they did it, what they actually did, and what it could mean for you navigating this always-on world we're in.
Yeah, exactly. Let's start with the why. Why even bother unplugging?
Well, Fan, on that podcast, he kept coming back to this phrase, brain overload.
Mm-hmm.
It's that point where you just feel like your thinking resources are completely tapped out.
Yeah, like you've got nothing left.
Exactly. And for you listening, trying to process complex stuff, learn new things, that constant digital noise can actually get in the way of real understanding, can't it?
It absolutely can't. It's like trying to have a deep conversation in a really loud, crowded room.
You just can't focus properly.
Precisely. And when we talk about brain overload, there's this idea of cognitive load, right? Our brains, they only have so much bandwidth for processing things at once.
Limited capacity.
Totally. So constant pings, emails, endless scrolling, we're basically maxing out that capacity all the time. So stepping away, even for a bit, it reduces that load. It lets your brain maybe consolidate information, process it better. That could lead to that clarity Fan mentioned.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So with that why in mind, let's look at Than's actual trip. 3 days, you said.
Yeah, 3 days. He went totally off-grid, weekend in the Texas Hill Country.
Wow. So no phone, no internet, the works.
The whole 9 yards, apparently. His focus was purely on, the basics, getting rest, actual reflection time without digital stuff buzzing,
Okay.
and just connecting with his surroundings, the people there, real-world connection.
And what happened? What did he say the results were?
Well, the outcomes he talked about are pretty telling. The Productivity Show even called it a surprising secret to regaining productivity.
Huh. Surprising.
Yeah, and Than specifically mentioned feeling this renewed clarity, a real sense of calm, and better focus afterwards.
So it almost sounds like sometimes to get more productive, you have to step away from the tools we usually think boost productivity.
It does seem a bit backward in our tech-heavy world, doesn't it?
It really does. You'd think more connection, more information equals more output, but maybe not always.
Seems like these experiences suggest there's a limit, or maybe a different path sometimes.
Okay, so that's the longer escape. What about the shorter one? Elise Dobson, 1 day.
Right, Elise Dobson's 1-day detox. And what's interesting here is her background. She works deep in the digital world.
Oh, yeah. How so?
She's a freelance B2B writer, covers things like e-commerce, marketing, the creator economy. Plus, she co-founded Peak Freelance, which is a community for freelancers.
Okay, so her professional life is very online.
Exactly. So the fact that someone like her, so embedded in it all, chose to intentionally disconnect for a day, that really says something, I think.
Yeah, it underlines that this isn't just about, taking a vacation from your phone. It might be a deliberate strategy.
A strategy for maybe mental well-being, focus, even for people whose jobs depend on being connected.
Right. So while her piece probably goes into her reflections, just the act itself,
Yeah.
it suggests she felt that need to step back, find some space.
Yeah, likely echoing that same desire for clarity that Than felt, just on a shorter timescale, perhaps.
Okay, so I've got the why, this brain overload idea, and we've got these examples, long and short. Now, the practical bit, the how. How can you actually do something like this?
Thankfully, the Productivity Show episode did promise some actionable tips.
Good. Like what?
Well, they mentioned strategies for both short-term adjustments and maybe longer-term habits. Two key examples were things like scheduling your screen time.
Like setting specific hours.
Exactly, and also creating tech-free zones, so places or times where devices are just off limits.
Okay, those sound doable. Not like you have to disappear into the woods for 3 days.
Right. They make this whole digital detox idea feel less extreme, more like manageable tweaks to your routine.
So scheduling screen time, that's about being intentional, not just reactive.
Precisely. You decide when you engage, rather than letting every notification pull you away. It's like setting boundaries, but for your attention.
And tech-free zones, like no phones at the dinner table or maybe in the bedroom.
Yeah, classic examples, creating dedicated spaces or times where you can just be present without that digital pull. Even small shifts like these can start to change your relationship with tech.
Reduce that background hum you mentioned.
Exactly, that constant digital noise.
And when you connect these practical steps back to what Thawne experienced that regained clarity, the calm, the focus, you can start to see how these small actions might actually lead to real benefits for you listening. That podcast also said stepping away helps people show up better.
I like that phrase, show up better.
Me too. It suggests that if you're not constantly splitting your focus digitally, you've got more mental energy, more bandwidth to be truly present.
Engaged in whatever's happening right in front of you, a conversation, your work.
Or just enjoying a quiet moment, maybe.
Absolutely. And this really gets to the core idea, I think, behind these detoxes. It's about regaining a sense of agency, of control.
Right, because tech is useful, obviously.
Yeah.
But it can easily start driving our attention if we're not careful.
For sure. So whether it's Thane's longer break or Lisa's shorter one, they both kind of demonstrate the value of creating that distance on purpose.
Reassert some control.
Yeah, and become more conscious of how we're using technology and why. Ultimately, it's about finding a healthier balance, maybe.
Where the tech serves us, not the other way around.
That's the goal, I think.
So wrapping up this deep dive into these experiences and tips, the main message seems pretty clear.
Yeah. What's your take?
Well, it feels like intentionally stepping back from our devices, even just for a little bit, isn't really about hating technology.
No, not at all.
It's more about creating the necessary space
Mm-hmm.
space for maybe some valuable insights to bubble up, or just to get that focus back.
Nicely put. It's about creating space, and that leads us maybe to a final thought for you to chew on.
Go for it.
Just thinking, what's one small, manageable step you could maybe take this week? Just one thing to carve out a tiny bit more tech-free space in your day. And what might you actually discover in that little bit of quiet, that undistracted moment? Something to consider.